Manoah. Some big news from the Jays regarding Alek Manoah.
You are Locked On Blue Jays, your daily Toronto Blue Jays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jays. Thank you guys for making Locked On Blue Jays your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. New customers join today and get $200 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Well, it's a Friday.
Yeah, it's a Thursday right now, but this will be coming out on Friday.
Yep, it's All-Star weekend for the NHL. I'm pumped up. I don't know. I don't really know how I feel about All-Star weekend necessarily. But it's still exciting.
Yeah, they redid the rules again in the All-Star break. I don't know why. It's just like they do this every year.
Yeah.
But as Canucks fans now, I mean, technically we'd have 6 All-Stars if they were counting Lindholm, but only 5, unfortunately, for the Canucks, which is still great compared to any other team in the league.
Yeah, and you know what? We have a lot to talk about because John Morosi put out a tweet today about Alek Manoah. But first of all, why don't you hit us with a little bit of a recap of I don't want to say, the downfall of Alek Manoah.
Yeah, obviously it's no secret that Alek Manoah had a horrible season last year. But I'm kind of going to start this from 2022 because that's kind of what makes this downfall so surreal. Because in 2022, Manoah had an unbelievable year. And in my opinion, if you're making a list of the 25 players, like players that are 25 and younger in the league, you probably have guys like Julio Rodriguez, like Juan Soto, Ronald Acuna. Manoah's probably in the top 10. Like he finished top 3 in Cy Young voting. An unbelievable season. I'll go over his stats here real quick as well. So he had 31 games started, a 2.24 ERA, 0.99 whip, 196.2 innings pitched. I know that was a big thing for Bassitt this year. He always said he wanted to pitch 200 innings. And Manoah was 3 innings and a third short of that in 2020. He had 180 strikeouts with 51 walks. That was a huge stat because this year Manoah really struggled with his walks and his pitch location. That was only 49 earned runs given up. So what's kind of started for me with the Manoah downfall was he was very vocal on social media. And that's usually never a good thing from a player that's only been in the league for a few years. So he was talking a lot of trash, especially to Yankees fans. I know he called out Garrett Cole, which is, as Blue Jays fans in the moment, it was kind of cool to see because for me personally, I hate Yankees fans. I hate the Yankees and especially Garrett Cole. So it was kind of cool in that aspect. But again, you've only been in the league for a year and a half. It's kind of bold to be going at one of the best pitchers in the league. And then this takes us to the playoff series with Alek Manoah's famous quote, "Pressure is something you put in your tires," when asked about if he's going to feel pressure for his playoff start. He didn't pitch horribly, but they did end up losing 4-0. And again, it seems like that was maybe a little bit of insight to the next year with Blue Jays fans getting those no runs in that playoff game. But yeah, 4-0. It doesn't matter how you're going to pitch. If you don't score runs, you're not gonna win a baseball game. So then in 2022, one thing that was being talked about a lot was the introduction of the pitch clock. And the pitch clock came in 2023, and this affected Alek Manoah greatly because he had the 5th slowest time to pitch in the league. Shohei Ohtani was one above him. There was a couple other guys. Shohei was the main one that I saw. So with Manoah having a slow tempo and a slow time to the plate, that was going to be something that he had to get used to. Obviously, with the pitch clock being 20 seconds with nobody on and then 15 with runners on. Or sorry, the other way. It was 15 with no runners on, 20 with runners on. And that was a huge thing. And also Manoah coming into training camp, he gained a lot of weight. And that's not saying that you can't be a bigger guy and be successful in baseball, but you have to be in shape.
Yeah, there's a difference between what we see in a lot of leagues. Some guys will take the off season and get out of shape, and then when it comes back to the start of the season, they'll work it back to get them to in season shape. But some guys just can't do that, right? If they become lackadaisical in their fitness, it's harder for them to get back on the grind. And I think for a player that was in his first couple of seasons, to sort of do that and expect to be peak performance is just something that's not going to happen. You see sometimes in more veteran players, they can do that and come back because they know how the league runs. They know how their body works. They know what'll affect them, what won't. And it just seems like for Alek Manoah that I almost want to say he got too big of a head too early on. And that really, I think, led to the next season, which was, I'll let you go over it, but just horrible.
Yeah, being a first rounder for the Blue Jays, that and then just his success to start off his major league career. Obviously, one of the best in Blue Jays history for a start. But then that leads us to the opening day, actually. They pick Alek Manoah over Kevin Gausman, which is still a little bit interesting. But I guess with the Alek Manoah season, you can't really fault it in that moment. His first start, not great at all. Goes 3 1/3, gives up 9 hits, 5 earned runs, gave up 2 home runs, and only threw 85 pitches. At that point, we were playing the Cardinals. They have a lot of good guys on that team. Paul Goldschmidt just had a great year the year before. Nolan Arenado. There's a bunch of guys over there. The great lineup, one of the top lineups in the league at that point. Obviously, the season didn't say that because the Cardinals had a horrible season as well. And then we're kind of like, yeah, whatever. It's one bad start. He'll get over it. In May, the Jays did not win a single game Alek Manoah started. He only went into the 6th inning once. And then what happened was the big blow up against the Astros. Only got 1 out, gave up 6 runs, looked terrible the entire inning, just could not locate. And that was a struggle the entire season, really. It was like he was walking the house. It seemed like he was walking 4, 5, 6 guys a game.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. Like, as a pitcher, you're going to have days where you just don't feel your best. And, the location becomes hard. It seems like you're throwing, you're throwing a pin into, trying to hit a, or whatever, a pin into a haystack or something or whatever, right? Or you're trying to hit a target 500 feet away from you, it seems like at some points. And you just don't feel yourself. But at some point, you got to get out of your own way a little bit. Stop thinking so much. I know what happens to a lot of pitchers sometimes is they think about the next pitch they're going to throw. And when you're not feeling it, sometimes you just have to listen to your catcher. There's some pitchers that they like to have a little bit more say in what the pitches they throw. But when it comes down to it, you're having bad starts. You're not doing what you need to do. You have to get out of your own way, let the catcher call the game, and just throw your pitches. Don't think, get up there and throw. And Alek Manoah, like I know last year I saw him, brush off the catcher. And it's like, okay, there gets a point where just listen to him. You are not playing well. You have to notice that and make adjustments. And Alek Manoah didn't make adjustments, like according to the pitch clock as well, right? He just couldn't figure it out. And there's a lot of little things pitchers can do to sort of get out of their own head. And I mean, I don't want to speak for these guys. They're a lot better than I am. I'll tell you that. But there are little things in baseball that end up making a huge difference. And it seemed like that was one of them for Alek Manoah.
Yeah, well, like I said, like I pitched back in my day as well. I'm not saying I was good at all. I'm not comparing myself to Alek Manoah. But personally, again, I didn't have a problem with pitching quick. But again, I didn't have a pitch clock, and I was also pitching just high school baseball. So the comparison there is not great. But I know like pitchers always say that. They always feel the best when they're not thinking about their delivery, not thinking about what pitches they're throwing. They're just throwing and just trying to get swings and misses, and they're just looking at the glove, the only target that they're focused on. But anyway, we'll get back to the Alek Manoah recap here. After that, in outing against the Astros, he gets sent down all the way to the Florida Complex League. There's AAA, AA, there's high A, low A, and then there's Florida Complex League. So that was a huge promotion for Alek Manoah. They pretty much just said, hey, like we're doing a complete reset here. We need to figure this out. We know you can be better, but you clearly have not shown it. And then the first pitching line we get from Alek Manoah in the Florida Complex League, he goes 2 2/3 innings, gives up 10 hits, 11 earned runs, 2 walks, and 3 strikeouts. You can't be confident in that at that point. Like what? Like he's playing against guys he should be dominating.
Yeah.
And he's looking terrible.
Yeah, this is a guy that obviously didn't take his off season well. Like didn't prepare. You have to. Like this is the major leagues, and maybe that's something that affected him. Is he wasn't worried. He had such a good season that he thought he could come in and just be an all-star, which isn't true for anybody. You look at what some of these professional all-star players do in the offseason. They're not the guys out there thinking they're the best in the field. They probably do, but they're not overly showing it. They're still working. They're putting in the work. They're putting in the effort make these differences. And Alek Manoah obviously didn't. I mean, we saw it. We saw him come into spring training last year, and it was you almost could tell from the first pitch he threw, right? That's, this isn't Alek Manoah from last year. And I think we said that we always thought there was going to be a bounce back. There just wasn't. And I don't know. I get very frustrated with this because it really bugs me when players are outwardly saying that, they're above everybody else, right? When anybody can be brought down to earth, especially in baseball. That's one of the huge things in baseball is you can be brought down to earth really quickly. And I don't know. It just rubbed me the wrong way. I always get on Bryce Harper about this, about being, about guys thinking they're the best, thinking they're, better than everybody else. And that's what Bryce Harper gives me. And I don't like Bryce Harper. And Alek Manoah was showing me those signs at the end of 2022.
Well, a lot of pitchers in the offseason, obviously you're going to take some time off. The MLB season is extremely long and they are deserving of that time off. But usually it's only about a month or two, like a 2 is even stretching it, and they get right back in the lab. Maybe it's not throwing full speed right away, but there is a workload that they progress with. And Alek Manoah just seemed like it was going to be given to him almost at the start of the season. He was just going to come back and he was just going to be passing by with flying colors, no problems whatsoever, which obviously is not realistic in the MLB, which takes us to his Double-A start, which he went and had a little bit of better success that day. Had 5 innings pitched, 3 hits, 1 earned, and 10 Ks. And this kind of takes us to a segue of a confidence thing. At this point, you just had probably your worst outing of your career against the Florida Complex League. I think it was against the Red Sox minor league team. It was the Red Sox, the Yankees, but I'm pretty sure it was the Red Sox. So yeah, like after that, and obviously all the struggles he had, do you think that John Schneider and the Blue Jays organization rushed Manoah back to the big leagues?
Easily, 100%. There's no way that Alek Manoah should have touched a major league field until you started to see significant changes. And not over a 1-game span. You need to see consistency. And they didn't do that. They thought, okay, he's back. He's good to go. Bring him back up. No, that's not how baseball works. Everybody's known that from, for 100 years, they've known that's how baseball works. It's so mental. Baseball is such a mental sport. And when a guy is getting beat into the ground night after night after night, it's going to wear on him. And that was such a, we talk so much about John Schneider and his managing decisions. There's one. Another one. Can
you say this is all on John Schneider, though? I think that's unfair to say. I think there was a lot of people, and the analytical team was probably behind this.
Absolutely. It's not just on John Schneider. But when I say John Schneider, in all of these moves, most of these moves, it's not just John Schneider, right? There's a team of people that are always working, looking at the analytics, giving suggestions. Maybe not telling him what to do, but giving him suggestions. And whoever's call this was, whoever said in Double-A that they think, okay, yeah, he looks ready to go, would blow my mind. If somebody came to me and said that, I would have said, are you nuts? You're keeping him down there for, I would think, I wouldn't want him back up for a month and a half at least.
Yeah, well, especially not after 2 weeks. I mean, it was a little bit longer. Like, it was 2 weeks with him actually pitching. It was a little bit longer. He did some stuff in the Florida Complex League to train and stuff like that. But yeah, even when it happened, we're like, what are they doing?
Yeah.
Like, you could kind of you just knew that it just wasn't enough time to get his confidence back. It wasn't enough time to work on his mechanics or anything. And he didn't have success in those starts either. Like, the Double-A one was okay. Like, the 10 strikeouts are nice, but only 5 innings in Double-A. And that's coming off of, like I said, your worst start of your career. That is ridiculous that the Blue Jays organization expected him to come back in the MLB and have success. And of course, when he goes back to the MLB, it is not great. He had 6 starts in July, or 6 starts before he got sent back down, 4 in July and then 2 in August. July, he had a 4.34 ERA and 18 2/3 innings pitched. So that's about 4 2/3 innings a start, which again, not great. And then in August, his ERA was 5.91 in 2 starts. So after that start against the Guardians, he gets optioned back down to AAA. And he decides not even to show up in AAA after all the tyranny he went through. Just no success whatsoever. Honestly, he was just garbage. The whole year, he was not good. So to say that, I'm too good to be optioned to AAA, I don't know what he was thinking. Maybe that's not exactly what it was, but that's kind of the sense that I got from an outsider and just a Blue Jays fan. that he didn't care about AAA. And the guys, when they make that move, sending Alek Manoah down to AAA, there's a guy that they're going to send up to take his spot. So now you're leaving the AAA Buffalo team with one less pitcher that they really could have needed down the stretch.
Yeah, and I don't know. This is on the management team a little bit, but overall, I think we keep going back to attitude, right? On this Blue Jays team, we keep talking about attitude. Alek Manoah needs an attitude change. This is such disgusting baseball, and disgusting is the right word, because if I'm coaching a team and a player that I sent down because they are obviously playing horrible baseball, they get sent down and decide not to go back, I'm sorry, you're not coming back up either.
Well, and it's got to be tough in the clubhouse as well, right? Like when and you see the major leaguers, they see that Manoah does that and doesn't report to AAA. What's that going to make them think if he comes back to the MLB? They're not going to think that he has their back whatsoever. They're going to think that he doesn't care about the team and he can just kind of leave whenever he wants.
Do whatever you want. Yeah.
And that's not somebody you want on your team. That's not a good teammate, and that's not good for the Blue Jays organization. So with that, we're going to get off these Alek Manoah talks. We're going to jump right into our 24/7 sports streaming channel. Again, Brayden did talk about the All-Star game. The draft is actually today, which is Thursday as we're recording this. Going to have to see who Quinn Hughes chooses. I'm hoping he can get Pedersen, and they can just reunite back in the All-Star game. Obviously, there's NBA going on, All-Star game, the Super Bowl. We've talked about that coming up in about a week now.
Pro Bowl this weekend.
Pro Bowl this weekend. I'm not a big Pro Bowl guy. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I'm not.
I just find that the players don't really try it. But if you guys ever want to tune in to our 24/7 streaming channel, we have great experts over there to cover all of your sports content needs. Just go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever national 24/7 streaming channel.
Well, and we bagged on Manoah. We bagged on him. He deserves it, but we bagged on him. So when we come back, there was a tweet that was put out today, and we'll break that all down for you. So Super Bowl is a week and a few days away. To all of those who celebrate, try celebrating with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. If you're like me, Super Bowl Sunday is all about scoring the best seat on the couch, grabbing your favorite football snacks, and placing some super bets. FanDuel has so many ways for you to end the season with a W or 2 or 3. Not only can you bet on who will win the Super Bowl, but FanDuel also has bets for which players will score a touchdown, how many points will be scored, and so much more. I can tell you, I'm going to place the most disgusting parlay of all time and pray to the heavens that it hits.
I think you're going to have to share that with the fans of this podcast, maybe on that Friday episode next week.
There you go. Friday episode, I will place my Super Bowl bets, and I will bring them here in probably our FanDuel ad read.
And you guys can decide if he is insane or not when he's placing this bet.
Yeah, the answer will be yes. New customers join today, and you'll get $200 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to sign up. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. So, as I said, right, I don't want to come on this. I don't want to come on this podcast all the time and rag on guys, but you know, we see it. You see it. It's these guys sometimes need attitude checks, and somebody's got to say something. I'm not going to come on here and be the happy-go-lucky guy all the time when stuff's not going well. Alek Manoah wasn't going well. I'm not going to make stuff up. I'm not going to lie to you guys. And speaking of that, John Morosi, trust him or don't trust him. Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah, is he on the plane, or was he ever on the plane?
I don't know.
You know what? He was never on the plane.
You know what? I respect John Morosi. He probably got bad information. Is the report that he's saying he got bad information? But whatever. You're still with MLB Network, and you put up whatever. I keep going on to John Morosi.
That tugged at your heartstrings a little bit.
Oh, I was
that day,
dude. I was destroyed. We had. I'm gonna let you guys in on a little bit here. Okay, we had the Saturday off. I think we do like this friends Christmas thing every year where we all get together, have some drinks, some food, whatever. We got up. We went out for drinks the night before. We get up. We're like, okay, I'm going to make all the guys breakfast. So I make all the guys breakfast. I'm pumped. I'm like, maybe today is the day that we get Shohei Ohtani. And I go into his room when all the reports start coming in about the plane and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, Carter, have you seen the tweets? Like, are we going to get Shohei Ohtani? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
Turns
and I
out.
was like, get the F out of my room.
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to sleep. It was a long night, obviously. We had a fun night on the town, but.
Yeah. And we don't end up getting Shohei Ohtani. We're sitting here. I think we were drinking mimosas at like, I don't even know. It was like 11 o'clock with breakfast.
It was definitely fairly early.
It was ridiculous and whatever. So we end up not getting Shohei Ohtani. Well, I don't want to say ruined, but it was ruined. It was ruined.
Yeah, that false report really put a damper on things for the rest of the night. But
killed us.
I think, the big accountability thing, and I just going back to the Manoah thing real quick, it doesn't really seem like he's taken accountability for any of his actions yet. So it's going to be interesting to see how that is dealt with in the clubhouse.
So back to John Morosi, okay? He puts out a tweet today, or it might have been yesterday night.
Yeah.
That said, the Blue Jays are not interested in trading Alek Manoah. Now, he was a talk of a lot of trades, sort of people are putting up trade boards, putting up, trades that they think the Blue Jays could be in, what they would be. And Alek Manoah was on a lot of them because, he was obviously horrible. He was obviously didn't have the attitude that we need for this year, which we've gone over time and time again. I don't know. And the worst part to me is that he's expected to start with the Blue Jays in the rotation. How do you give a guy that is expected to that didn't show up to AAA last year? How do you give him now one of the 5 starting rotation jobs after there is guys in the waiting room, right? And you're going to give a guy who spit at your feet pretty much and said, "I'm not playing in AAA for you." You're now giving him a now spot in the rotation. I think Alek Manoah could bounce back. I fully believe that he can't be as bad as last year. So he's going to bounce back slightly. But in the same respect, he pretty much flips the Blue Jays the bird and says, "Screw you, I'm not playing AAA." And now you're just going to be like, whatever, let bygones be bygones. Welcome back into their starting rotation.
Yeah, I think the thing with this is that you see it all the time in sports with these like diva personalities and everything. If you're good enough at some point, they're going to look past it. And I think that just the Manoah upside that he has shown in 2022 and then his rookie season in 2021, and the fact that he has been working out and the organization has been saying that he has been taking this offseason seriously, and he has been putting in the work, losing weight, getting his time in the gym. So if he can come back and be successful, I think that's what all Blue Jays should hope for. I know this pitching staff is deep, but if you can get Alek Manoah, obviously, like you don't really need his 2022 season, which would be awesome if you got it. But if he can just be decent with your pitchers right now, like with how good Berrios has been last year, how good Gausman always is.
Just
Kikuchi had a good year last year. There might be some regression there. Bassitt's obviously reliable. And then you got Daulton Varsho, Yariel Rodriguez. Like there are options here. Yeah. So I don't think it'd be the worst thing to try out Manoah for the spring training and maybe give him that 5th rotation spot.
See, I'm going against you. I take it almost like if I was in Blue Jays management, I take that the not showing up to AAA thing very, very personally. And that is I think it's disrespectful, not only to the Blue Jays organization, but I think to us as fans, it's disrespectful because that means you didn't want to go out and put in the work to make yourself better. Now, great if he did that during the offseason, but if he didn't do that, what was the other option at this point? Honestly.
Yeah. I mean, he maybe would have got traded or released even, and they probably would have tried to trade him just to get a little bit of value for him. But you definitely would not have gotten what you wanted in return for a guy with the raw talent of Alek Manoah. But John Schneider, to support my analysis here, John Schneider says he doesn't think the relationship has ever changed. Again, it was a tough spot for him and a tough couple of weeks or months for Alek. Being as competitive as he is, he was frustrated at times and being sent down like that. So I think with John Schneider had him in the system. He did coach him. And he's been a player's manager his entire career. That's why he is with the Blue Jays. So I think Schneider probably was in his ear, like at least texting him, probably giving him a few calls, maybe keeping in contact with him. And it looks like that relationship, at least between the coach and the pitcher, isn't broken. But I don't know if I can say the same thing for the clubhouse.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. This is another one of those things, right? Is we have this conversation about John Schneider. Is he too close to the players? I said no, because I think he's a good players manager in the sense of he's good with the guys. This is not something I could get past. Even as a players manager, if somebody pretty much tells you to F off, I'm not accepting that.
Well, I don't know if it's a great look for the Blue Jays either. This guy just abandoned you in the season, and then you're letting him pitch again.
And people are going to take the stance of, oh well, he's probably frustrated. Oh well, he maybe he just needed some extra time off. I don't care. Get in the gym, go to AAA, show up to the club, be there, be that guy. You have to be that rock. You could be a raw talent in this league, and you could be very good eventually. But a little bit, this is always going to stick with you.
So are you saying that you don't even want Manoah to have like sniff the starting rotation this year, or what is your
No. I because at this point, if you're not going to trade Alek Manoah, you got to try to work him back in. But I think it's a slap in the face to everybody to announce this now that he's going to be in the starting rotation. That is a slap in the face. You can work him back in. I don't want to see him at least in the first rotation of pitchers. That's what I would say.
Yeah, and I think if anything, kind of to support your side here, I'm still on the Alek Manoah hopeful for a fifth starting rotation spot. This is a huge slap in the face to Bowden Francis.
Yes.
The guy that had a great year last year, was with the team actually the entire year, sub-2 ERA, did exactly what was asked for him, whether it was bullpen, opener, whatever was needed, had a great year. And now you're going to tell this guy that, oh, the guy that left in the middle of the season is taking your spot on the starting rotation. I don't think he's going to be too fond of that answer from the management. But, I mean, it's a business, right? At the end of the day,
for sure,
Manoah is going to be better than Bowden Francis and give this team a better chance to win. I think you have to roll with that.
For sure. And I wanted to bring something up just before we get out of this segment here. A couple things. First of all, we got, I think it was a comment a while ago complaining about how we are the epitome of whiny, unknowledgeable Jays fans. We're not whiny. We want this team to be very good. Just like the rest of Blue Jays fans, we want our team to be good. And yeah, we're going to complain. If we don't like something, we're not going to sugarcoat it. If we're not happy with how things are going, we're going to tell you guys. And if this team plays really good, if they show us that they're willing to make changes, I'll be over the moon. And most of this time, and with this team that I am so excited. I am over the moon. I am pumped up. And I think that's why we get like so into it, right? Is because we love this team. We want to see them do really well. But yeah, let us know sort of what you guys are thinking. Like, would you want to see Alek Manoah stay in the first 5 games, we'll say, in regular season? We won't even talk about spring training right now because he will get spring training time. But first 5 games of the season, do you think that Alek Manoah will start one of those 5? Secondly, drop us a subscription. 70% of you guys aren't subscribed for some reason. Just go to YouTube, drop a subscription.
Hey, it's free. Just click the big red button. Helps us out a ton. And that gives us more incentive to bring out these podcasts for you guys. It lets us know you're liking them, supporting us. And that's going to take us into our next segment, which Brayden actually started this one. And we're going to get into that after this ad break here.
Okay, well, I know you're the one that always makes all the drafts and everything, but you know what? I was at work today, sort of mulling it over in my mind. And I'm like, you know what can we do? What do I want to make for a draft if I was to do one? So what we did was we each picked 3 players. And we don't know who the other one chose. So we're going to go. And I'll go first. I'll give you a player. You tell me which other sport do you think that they could succeed in as well, or professionally, we'll say.
All right.
Do you want me to go first? You to go first.
I'll let you take this one.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to give you Daulton Varsho.
Daulton Varsho. This is going to be a little weird. I'm going to say archery for Daulton Varsho.
Archery?
Just out of nowhere, yeah. Daulton Varsho seems like a guy. I mean, just seeing his arm in the outfield and just the way he's able to track things, I think if he got behind a bow and an arrow and he just lined it up, I don't know, just like the same thing as lining it up to throw the ball home.
That is one of the weirdest. There was no way in my head that when I brought this up, I'm like, yes, archery is going to be one.
Daulton Varsho, just something about his vibe. I mean, just gives me an archery stance. I don't know what it is.
Okay, well, that's just, I don't even know. I don't even know what to say to that. Okay, your turn, I guess. What is that?
I got a good one here. I have Yusei Kikuchi, which is an interesting one.
Yusei Kikuchi. He seems like a pretty I almost want to say nimble guy. I'm gonna go soccer or football or whatever the rest of you guys say. We're Canada.
Where do you have him playing in soccer? Is he like a goalie? Is he like a midfielder, a defender? Like where are we at?
Yeah, I think I would say almost like a midfielder.
Oh, you got
I don't think
Kikuchi ripping around.
Yeah, I don't think he's like a striker or whatever they call it. But
yeah, we're not too fond on our soccer terms here. We're not
soccer guys. But I was a goalie. I was a soccer goalie for a while.
Yeah, how good was that though?
I was unreal. Kidding me?
That's what your parents maybe say and tell other people around. But from what I heard, you were not the greatest. Maybe just
who's telling you that? My brother?
Yeah, exactly. Who it was.
That's
making the easy saves look better than they actually are. It's like when you dive from a ball, like you're camped under it and you just dive. A little bit of Ken Murphy kind of things there. I can see you.
Yeah, okay. How about Jose Berrios or Berrios, I should say?
It's weird. I don't know. The first thing that I'm thinking of right now is a linebacker for some reason in the NFL. He's a little bit of a bigger guy.
Okay. Weird. Okay.
I think that he just has a little bit of fire on him. You see him get fired up on the mound. I think if he made a big hit in
you'd see the Selly.
Yeah, he would just fire everyone up. I think he would be electric. He maybe did a little bit of the Ray Lewis
okay.
the shuffle there. I could see him getting really into it, and I think it'd be really cool to watch Berrios just absolutely hammer a running back.
Okay. Sorry. I got to bring this up. Coworker Skylar Peters listens to the podcast. Great guy. He I work with him. Just text me. Carter's a Panthers fan.
Oh God,
that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm probably going to be hearing that in the future pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I haven't heard it enough.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, I have Alejandro Kirk.
Ooh, Alejandro Kirk reminds me of a little bit. I don't know if it's the beard or what it is when he grows it out a little bit. An old friend of mine, Cody Johnson, lacrosse goaltender. So I'm going to go lacrosse goaltender, Alejandro Kirk.
I could see that for sure. I could see him just like being a little bit of a smaller guy, maybe in the net, but just making some cool saves.
Yeah.
I think it would be interesting to see him there. I think he would fit the mold pretty well.
Yeah. I don't know. Honestly, the biggest thing was he just reminds me of Cody. So that's like, you know what I mean? Like, so that's where I got that from.
Cody, if you're listening to this, I don't know what you're going to do with that information.
Whatever.
But I'll give it back to you for the last one here.
Yeah, we'll go Alek Manoah.
Oh, sumo wrestler. Don't even have to think about that one. Easy. One of those things, get him in the ring. Just let him battle with the other big boys. Oh, I'd just be electric.
Sumo wrestler.
That was
crazy.
That one was quick for me.
That's crazy.
Hey, now that he's been in the gym, he's got a little bit more strength probably.
Okay.
Bench press strength.
Okay. You still have one for me, don't you?
I do.
Okay.
And I couldn't leave this guy off the list. I had to go with
Vladdy. Oh, that's tough. So he's gonna be a football player. I don't know where I'd want him.
Hey,
maybe if this was like year one Vladdy, I'd go with he'd be like a good center.
Okay. Vladdy O-lineman.
I could see him like a Jason Kelsey.
What about Vladdy's like a long driver? I think that would be
maybe
a little Kyle Berkshire in him.
Okay. I don't know. Sure. I don't know. I could see him playing football. I think he could get into it. He would do the little celebrations or whatever.
Oh, Vladdy would love a defensive touch or an offensive touchdown. Yeah. I could see the Kelsey comparison there.
Yeah.
Just screaming into the camera.
Yeah. I don't know why. Just a little bit. I think he could have fun with it. A little bit. The NFL's getting more and more into that. I don't know. I almost want to say ridiculousness that Vladdy brings to the game sometime. So. Yeah, I could definitely see him doing
maybe
like
when his brother's playing for the Mets, he might pull a Jason Kelsey for his brother, and maybe he'll take his shirt off in the stands, have some beers with the fans.
Yeah. Could you imagine Vladdy in the stands just barrel out?
I can't even imagine that visual.
Oh my God.
Imagine how much press that would get. Just one of us. One of us.
One
thing we actually do we're from Winnipeg, so we have our football league here. It's called the CFL at Winnipeg Blue Bombers games. We actually we call it tarps off in the fourth quarter, which is interesting because some of the games are in November and it gets cold here.
You'll have like a -20 game, if not worse.
So you were.
That's Celsius for you Americans, by the way.
The good thing is that we do have some alcohol to kind of keep us warm throughout the game, and we're definitely not sober during those games. So, but it is a lot of fun.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, because you're always in the booth. Unfortunately, you're not having no fun with the boys.
No, it's too bad. But actually, huge signing. Chris Drevler?
Yeah, as maybe some of you Americans might know that. Played, I believe, with the Cardinals and then went to the Jets. I don't think he started much with the Jets.
Well, he was also with Baltimore for
There
a
was
while.
probably a few other teams in between there. He was bouncing all over the league.
But sort of cool news. We were in the presser today with him, and yeah, it was pretty. It was electric to hear him talk, and he's sort of a guy that that's sort of the Vladdy popped into my head a little bit with that one. So,
well, you said he trained actually with Lamar Jackson. There was one more.
Lamar, Aaron Rodgers, Tua actually as well.
Tua, another one. Yeah.
So sort of cool. You know,
big names exactly. Like if you can have experience like that, you're gonna take advantage for sure. Right? You probably learned a lot of things. Hopefully, you can bring that to the Bombers this year.
Wait, can our listeners learn a few things from the NFL? Sorry, that was a terrible segue. Go into it.
Yeah, our listeners definitely could learn a few things from our experts here of NFL, NHL, all of especially the big four. I know there's the college sports we cover as well. So if you guys ever want to tune into that, go to our Locked On Sports Today at YouTube and subscribe to the first ever National Sports 24/7 streaming channel.
I apologize again for that segue. That was horrendous, but
yeah, I like the effort, I guess, but it didn't turn out too great.
It's fine. We're having fun, sort of.
We try.
Yeah. We want to thank you guys for watching. This is, it's been a fun episode, sort of weird episode. We sort of covered Manoah quite a bit, but you know what? It was sort of some big news today, and let us know how you guys feel. Like I sort of don't know where I'm standing right now. And I might just need to mull this over and really think about, you know, what I'd really like to see from this year. But yeah, let us know. Follow us on Twitter, Brayden 5 Wasco, Carter First 2. Go actually, Carter, you've been posting on the TikTok, haven't you?
Yeah, I got a TikTok up. It's Daulton Jays. You can also look up Locked On Blue Jays. It will pop up there. I did a little quick one on Justin Turner signing, so be sure to check that out. And thank you guys for watching. We're back full time. 2 more weeks until pitchers and catchers report. So that is going to be interesting. We're excited for the content that's going to bring us. And we will see you guys on Monday.